Hey. So, I've not long finished work and I'm in desperate need of a shower. But I'm pretty excited because I found out that there's going to be a 24-hour readathon within a readathon, I guess. The Magical Readathon is having like a 24-hour one this weekend and it starts at 1, so in theory I'll be able to actually participate in it from start to finish, which is pretty great, especially because I currently have an audiobook on the go and I really want to read The Crown because I listened to The Heir last week and I didn't realise The Heir wasn't a standalone, so I really desperately want to know what happens next with the story. So that's kind of my plan, to read The Heir and listen to my audiobook. I'm sure there's other things I want to read, but I can't immediately remember. But I'm sure I'll be checking in plenty over this next day. It's like 7:30 now, so it doesn't start for another 5.5 hours. The 24-hour readathon within a readathon started a little under 3 hours ago, and so far I've listened to a chunk of my audiobook. I'm not sure about it. It's striking me as very bland and generic. Like, everyone's talking about it at the moment, and everyone I've heard speak about it seems to have really loved it, and I'm just like, doesn't feel special. But also, I did listen to a lot of vampire stories last month, so I think possibly a vampire story needs to be a little bit special to capture my interest. I don't know. But right now I am reading The Crown because I think I said this morning actually, I listened to The Heir last week and it's basically like a duology extension of the selection. So you're following a different protagonist and she's super bratty and doesn't realise she's bratty, but also you're not meant to like her and she is meant to have a bit of character growth. But I'm really interested by it. I kind of don't know why I love these books so much, but I do. And I was desperate to pick it up and I figure, why not? And it's maybe 300 pages, if that. So I'm hoping I can finish it this weekend. In fact, if I can finish it today, even better. So I feel like I've been a little bit distracted in my reading today. So I'm a little under halfway through The Crown, which isn't great progress, but I am making progress on it. And I just thought I'd check in because I'm loving the character growth of the protagonist. It really feels like she's learning and growing, and it's just such a lovely change to see. And I'm also continuing to enjoy the fact that I have no idea who's endgame for her, which is really refreshing because oftentimes when you've got a love polygon, you kind of know which person the author's leading you towards. But I would say that I'm relatively certain it's between two of them. But also, the other 6 interests still feel like genuine I think there's 6 prospects in total, or at least it feels like it's setting up six prospects. But I think there's 2 that seem pretty likely, and I'm not sure what direction it'll end up going in. But I am really enjoying it, and I'm actually thinking I need to get, what's it called? Happily Ever After? Yeah, I'm actually thinking I need to get Happily Ever After, which I think is the short story collection, because I just enjoy this world so much. It's a little after midnight, which means that we're almost at the halfway point, and I don't know, I feel like I haven't read as much today as I would have liked. But then again, like it's probably more that I haven't read any as much as I would have liked since 1 p.m. because like yesterday I managed to finish The Air and The Dead and the Dark. So I had read a fair bit yesterday. I just feel like as far as the readathon has gone, I haven't read that much. But then again, I think I'm about 5 hours into my audiobook, which is not bad. I did read 163 pages of The Crown, so I am over the halfway mark. I guess I just wish I'd finished The Crown. But also, realistically, I'm reading it maybe a page a minute, so it would take me 5 hours. And that's if I could hold my concentration for like 5 continuous hours. So, I don't know. I also, I'm not planning to stay up anymore. Partially because Becca's got sprints tomorrow afternoon, and I do enjoy Becca's sprints because she does dice sprints and they're quite fun. And basically, if I were to stay up for this like Magical Readathon, like readathon within a readathon, and then had Becca sprints, I'm looking at possibly being up for close to 36 hours. And I do remember last time I did a 24-hour readathon and trying to stay up, and I felt awful afterwards and vowed I would never do a readathon like that again. But I don't know. I'll see how I feel as I go on, because I am enjoying The Crown and I want to see where it goes. But also, my bed is looking awfully tempting. So it's 2:15 in the morning, and as might be obvious by the fact it is 2:15 in the morning, I just couldn't put down The Crown. And this is something I didn't expect to say. I think it was actually a 5-star. I loved it so much. It just... See, this is how you do love polygons. I genuinely had no idea who she was going to pick. And from the point that she picked, there was no swithering over anyone else. The love interest was the love interest. And it was just so sweet. Like, it's like such a junk food book, but it had me crying so much, but like for good reasons. And it's just so wholesome. Like, don't get me wrong, the whole like the concept of Swendway and New Asia are really weird, especially when you've got like Italy and France and Germany are like established as like countries in their own right, and then you've got Swendway and New Asia. But it's just such a fun book. I love it so much. It's a little bit after 10 a.m. now, so I've got about 3 hours left of the readathon within the readathon. So my plan is basically to just put an audiobook on and get on with some stuff. Like I still need to do like scrapbooking for this readathon, because I have this idea that I've got this like large square blank scrapbook that I want to keep for like every time the Magical Readathon happens, because it's like a continuing journey type thing. So I'm going to use that to gather like all my reading memories. But I actually need to put it together, so I figure if I've got an audiobook on, that's a good way of multitasking, I guess. So there's about an hour and a half left of the readathon, and I'm still just listening to that audiobook I've got on the go, and I'm not enjoying it. I don't know if I've given it a fair chance yet. Like, I have no idea how far I am through it. I want to say maybe about 6 hours, and it's like 27 hours total. So I don't know if that's far enough through to have really given it a good chance to actually like impress me. But right now I'm just bored. And I'm really annoyed because I feel like everyone's like hyping it up at the moment, and everyone's like really excited and like, oh, it's amazing. And I'm like, but where's the intrigue? Am I missing something? I don't know. But I think I'm gonna stick with my original plan of like doing some scrapbooking whilst I listen to the audiobook. So maybe I'll give it another hour and a half and see how I get on. But the way I'm feeling right now, I'm thinking it's gonna be a DNF.
Raindrop on the blacktop, hot stuff, feeling like a robot. Swipe left, scroll down, same chick, but you're living in a new town. Am I the issue? I'm the original. Cute face, but you got no taste. Wouldn't trade it for its weight in gold. One of these days, one of these days, someone's gonna love me right. One of these days, maybe I can get it right. One of these days, someone's gonna love me right. One of these days, someone's gonna love me right. Love me right. Someone's gonna love me right. I die before I try to reason with the devil. Won't play a losing game. I ain't about to settle. Am I the issue? I'm the original. Grab me a tissue. The world's gone shallow. But I've been wasting so much time trying to figure out what's mine, instead of just living my own life. One of these days, someone's gonna love me right. One of these days, maybe I can get it right. One of these days, someone's gonna love me right. One of these days, someone's gonna love me right. Love me right. Love me right.
So, like I said, I was gonna do, I spent the last wee while doing a bit of scrapbooking, and I listened to a bit more of my audiobook, and I just don't care about it. Like, I probably will continue with it, but it's just so dull. And I don't know, I'm having a really hard time seeing why people like are so obsessed with it right now, because I'm just like, there's nothing to care about in it. I couldn't even tell you what's actually going on. Something about cold bloods and pale bloods and women. I don't know. They smoke blood. But, I mean, at least I'm not getting FOMO anymore. Because I know I'm not enjoying it. So, just before I wrap up this video, I don't know if I wrapped up yet already. Don't know how to wrap up. Anyway, I realised that I haven't mentioned what audiobook I've been listening to over the course of the past little over a day, and that was a deliberate choice. But I will say that it was Emperor of the Vampire. Now, I feel like so many authors are like not great human beings, that the way that the bookish community has been fawning over Kristoff, I'm like, oh, maybe I've just built it up in my head to be worse than it is. But, you know, if, I don't know. And I was getting like massive FOMO because everyone was talking about it, everyone was loving it. And I just think, like, I just looked and I'm about 7 hours into the audiobook and it's just not for me. Like, I think it's going to be a DNF because, quite frankly, 7 hours into an audiobook, I'm bored out of my mind, and Kristoff is not a good human being from what I recall. So I really don't have any reason to continue on with this audiobook. I mean, if anyone wants me to actually like listen to it and do like a spoiler filled I read it so you don't have to kind of thing, like, do tell me, but I'm just not getting it. Like, people seem to be overlooking his flaws for a book that isn't even that good. Okay, yeah, there's another 20 hours left, so maybe there's more to it. Maybe it gets better after 7 hours, but that's an awful long way to have to make that's an awful long way to have to get through an audiobook for it to get good. And considering it's not good yet, I'm like, you can listen to a whole audiobook in 7 hours. So it's just not for me. And I'd love if someone explained to me. I feel like I'm being so shady. Like, I didn't intend to be shady with this whole thing, but I'm struggling so much to figure out what people see in this book and why people are willing to overlook the author's flaws for this book. Hi. So I've just gotten to the end of editing this video, and apparently my final clip just ended there. I don't know why I decided that was an appropriate way to end it. But yeah, I think what I'm saying is, as far as I'm aware, Kristoff's not a great person, so and the book's not interesting. So I'm not understanding the hype, but I am, like, I'm willing to have a discourse. Like, if there's something about this book that I'm just not seeing, I'm quite happy to have a conversation and people tell me. Like, generally, I'm not the kind of person that is, like, wanting of spoilers, but if there's something about this book that I'm missing because I'm bored right now, but like down the line, if I got to it, I'd be like, oh, of course, yeah, amazing. Like, I'm interested to hear people tell me that. And also, if the whole, like, Kristoff being not a great person is something that I've built up in my head, like, I'm also interested to hear people tell me, because I genuinely find it really difficult to find, like, information about, like, what authors have done, if that makes sense. I don't know, like, so basically this readathon within a readathon has been a weekend. I had a 5-star read and what's looking to be a DNF. So the definition of a mixed bag. But I'm hoping for a better week coming. I don't know. I guess that's it for now. So bye!
There's a place in my heart